He's not going to eat anything in that cup of vegetables. But he also doesn't eat people. You don't need to be scared.
Lucas, you look a little bit unsure. Hi friends, welcome to Hunter's Funhouse. Today we are at the Learning Zoo. It's right outside of the Woodlands, Texas, and we are so excited to meet and interact with some cool animals. So we're about to head inside. Let's see what animals we meet.
And we'll get started outside, so we're just going to go through that gate over there. So these are snacks for you guys to feed to our tortoises and our pigs and other petting zoo animals. The tortoises love the squash and the lettuce leaves, and the pigs like the carrots and the sweet potato. So anything orange is great for the pigs, but everyone can eat everything. So don't worry if you feed something to the wrong animal, they'll love it all.
Y'all zoom in on her. So this is, again, the bearded dragon. Charlie. Mm-hmm. That is so cool.
How old is she?
About 3 years old.
How long did he live for?
They can live 10 to 12 years, so she's still pretty young.
Yeah,
she used to be a classroom pet. So before COVID, she lived in a classroom at a school. The school said that they couldn't have animals in the classroom anymore, and so Charlie needed a home. And she came here to the Learning Zoo. She's got branches to climb on. The sun will hit this log, and she loves to warm up in it in the mornings. Our first tortoises are just babies. They're only about 3 years old, but these are African spur-thighed tortoises. So they will get really, really big. They'll get about the size of their blue house. But they're still growing, and they're from Africa. So they live on the plains, and they eat lots of grass. And the reason they're called a spur-thighed tortoise is because of these big scales on their legs, and on their back legs they have these big pokey spurs, and those just help protect their legs from predators.
Wow,
Would you guys like to pet him?
What's his name?
So this is Ron, and then we have Harry and Hermione. These three are a little bit shy still. We don't usually get them to eat from people's hands, but if you want to put a little bit of food down, maybe a piece of lettuce, and put it in front of them, they might eat it in a little bit. We can check back and see if they were hungry.
Oh, good job.
But next door, if you want to feed some tortoises, we have our redfoot tortoises. And Mango is already coming over because he knows you have some food.
What does he like?
He likes anything, but he loves squash. So if you want to grab the yellow squash and hold it in front of him, that is the squash. So go ahead and just go ahead and hold that out in front of him, and he'll take a big bite out of it. Tortoises don't have any teeth, so they bite pieces off of their food and swallow those chunks whole. They don't chew it up.
He likes it.
He does, look.
These tortoises are vegetarians. They only eat plants.
by my finger.
He ate a squash.
Oh, he'll eat it. See, he loves anything that's bright yellow or red or orange, and he will eat flowers and fruit and vegetables and weeds and grass too if he can't find anything else. We have 4 of these redfoot tortoises in this enclosure. There's Mango, Mars, Citrine, or Topaz, and Ginger. So if you want to step inside, it's a little bit muddy, but you can come and find the tortoises and feed them the snacks we have. These tortoises are from South America, and they live in rainforests and the edge of forests where it's grassy and there's no trees.
I'll try the lettuce.
Well, they can bite. They have a mouth, just like any animal, but they're not going to bite you unless they accidentally grab your finger with some food.
Do you like feeding the tortoises?
Yes.
This is fun.
That's yellow.
It is yellow.
Let me introduce you to Ajax.
Oh, Lucas, look, you just noticed him.
But Ajax is a Caribbean rock iguana. So these are really, really big lizards. They live on islands in the Caribbean.
What do they, Mom?
So these lizards are from the islands in the Caribbean, and each island has its own unique type of rock iguana. So he is actually a hybrid. That's a mix of 2 species. One species was a Cuban rock iguana, and the other is called a Grand Cayman blue iguana. And those are really, really rare and endangered. You guys know what it means when an animal is endangered?
Yes.
What does it mean?
means like there aren't a lot of them.
Yeah.
Like elephants are in danger.
That's
Exactly.
a good like example.
So there are not a lot of them, About 20 years ago, there were only 25 Grand Cayman iguanas left in the world, which is almost nothing.
Yeah.
But thankfully, people were able to breed them in captivity in zoos
how many
and release
now?
babies into the wild. And now there are about 700 of them, which is still not a lot.
Yeah.
They're still endangered and they're still protected, but they're doing a lot better. These iguanas love to bask out in the sun to heat themselves up, and they run all over rocks. They have these big claws. You guys see those? Yeah. Those help him grip those rocks and climb them. They like this flower. He may not.
Got it over there.
Usually he does, but we'll see if he's in the mood to eat today. So, oh, did you guys see that? He just sneezed.
I heard that.
Yeah.
Iguanas are really, really special. They will sneeze to get rid of extra salt from their food.
Huh.
So sometimes they eat foods that are really salty and might make them sick, but they're able to get rid of that salt in their food and they sneeze it out through their nose. So rock iguanas are really, really cool lizards. Most of them are endangered. Their islands are not very big and there were never a lot of them to begin with. And people have brought all kinds of problems for their survival, like cats and dogs that eat them, goats that eat their food and compete with them, and they've built hotels and resorts on their habitat. Let's see how he's eating that flower. He shook it to break a piece off. So iguanas do have teeth, unlike tortoises, and their teeth will shred leaves and flowers and fruit so that they can swallow bite-sized pieces. So next up, we're going to meet some mammals. So the little one on the left is named Penny, and the big one coming towards us is Pua. So they're both female Kunekune pigs. Just like dogs and cats, there are different breeds of pig, and this breed is from New Zealand. You can give her some carrots if you like. They love getting fed.
Charlotte, do you want to give the piggy a carrot?
Stick it through the fence and
Go ahead, put it through, Charlotte. You have to move closer.
Kunekunes are a Polynesian breed. They were kept by the Maori people of New Zealand. And in their language, Kunekune means round and tubby.
Seems like a good name then for a pig.
Yes, very. And pigs will eat almost anything. They're omnivores, just like us. So they eat fruits and vegetables, they eat grain, they eat mushrooms, and they also eat meat. Ours love hard-boiled eggs and boiled chicken.
Good job feeding them the carrots.
Stick it through a little bit more. They can't quite reach it.
Push it through, Charlotte.
They got it.
So our pigs are not full grown. Pua is going to turn 1-year-old next month, and Penny is only about 9 months old. So they're still growing, but Pua is not going to get much bigger than she is now. And then we also have our goats. One of them came over here to say hello. His name is Jolly, or her name is Jolly.
What about that one?
And then the other two are named Pixie and Trixie. All three are girls, and they're actually triplets. They're all sisters.
Wow, that's cool.
Jolly was raised on a bottle because mom did not have enough milk for all three of them. So she is much friendlier and more attached to people. Would you guys like to go in and meet everyone?
Yeah, alright.
All right.
Oh, wow. Wow, you get to go in and meet them?
So we'll make sure that gate is shut before we open this one so nobody runs out. Runs and points to each other when they're happy. They'll squeal when they're upset or scared. So if something spooks them, they'll run away and squeal to let each other know that there's danger nearby. And when they're happy, they'll make kind of a purring sound. Just a very contented growl.
And they're fairly intelligent animals, right?
They are
Pigs?
very smart. They're about as smart as a 4-year-old human.
Wow.
They're definitely smarter than most dogs.
Wow. Did
They
you know
can
that?
learn their names, they can learn tricks and puzzles, and they're very clean animals. Ours will go to the bathroom in one spot, as far away from where they eat and sleep as possible.
That's interesting.
Which one was fed by a bottle?
The one right there who's
This one.
sniffing you, her name is Jolly.
Is she
That was
nice?
the one who's
Yeah,
actually.
look, she's
She is
very
very
That was
nice.
the one
The
who's
other
actually
two are still
following
kind of
me.
unsure about
That was
people,
actually the one who was actually following me.
That was
but they've
following
gotten a
you.
lot more comfortable.
Do you want to pet Jolly? Do you want to pet Jolly, Hunter?
This one?
Yes.
Which one? That one.
That one's very friendly.
So these are Nigerian dwarf goats. They're about 3.5 months old, so they're still babies, but they won't get much bigger than Pua. Goats are herbivores. They only eat plants, and they love to eat grass and leaves and tree bark and weeds. And you can see, you guys see how this tree branch here doesn't have any leaves on it?
Yep.
That's because they have stood right there and stretched out and grabbed the branch and eaten all the leaves off.
And they like to climb, right? They have
love
like
to climb. That's why we put this in, so that they have something to jump on, and we can put their food where the pigs won't get to it. Because otherwise the pigs would steal everything. So this is our chicken coop, and this is where the hens will lay their eggs.
Oh wow.
And she is actually sitting on some right now.
Wow.
Oh, there's a lot of eggs in there. We will actually collect those eggs and incubate them so that when the chicks hatch, we can raise them up inside away from predators. You guys have any questions about the goats or the pigs or the chickens?
I don't think so.
You've given us a lot of good information, right? We've learned a lot so far.
Well then, let's say goodbye to them.
Bye.
And we'll keep going on the tour. This is Zinnia. She is a 35-year-old leopard tortoise. These tortoises can live to be 80 or 90 years old. But once they reach about 30, they lose all the spots on their shell. That's why they're called a leopard tortoise, because their shell is covered in black spots. But she is still very active. She loves food, and we'll see if she's interested in some squash. She's a little shy. Oh, there she goes. She's thinking about it. So these tortoises live in Africa, just like the spur-thighed tortoises we saw earlier, and they live on the plains where lions and zebras and giraffes live. There you go. Did you need help?
Oh, look, she took a big bite.
Yeah. So Darwin is a green iguana, even though right now he's kind of black. He's doing that to warm up in the sun. So reptiles, like iguanas and other lizards, are cold-blooded.
I know that.
Do you know what that means for him?
Yes, I do.
What does it mean?
I do know it's cold-blooded.
What does it mean?
Well, it kind of means you have to warm up in the sun.
That's right. So he can't control his body temperature like we can. If he needs to heat up, he needs to sit in the sun for a few hours. If he needs to cool down, he can't sweat or pant. He has to go into the shade or water. So it's actually just as dangerous for a reptile to be too hot as it is to be too cold. So we make sure he has plenty of shade, he has a pool to swim in, and he has sun that he can sit in to heat up.
How old is he?
He is 7 years old,
How old did he live for again?
about 25 years.
How long is he?
He's 4.5 feet long.
Wow.
Most of that is
That's
tail though. So do you guys see these spines running down his back and this big flap of skin under his chin? Those are all meant to make him look bigger. This is called a dewlap, and he can actually bring it in and out whenever he feels like it. So if he's trying to show off and intimidate either a predator or another iguana, he'll make these spines stick straight up, he'll flap that dewlap out, and he'll bob his head up and down to make him look more intimidating. And if it's another iguana, he'll chase them out of his territory. If it's a predator, he's going to try and run. But if he's cornered and he can't get away, he's going to use this tail. He can actually whip with this tail and smack a predator in the face with it.
It's like a
And
weapon.
iguanas have a lot of predators. They live in South America, so they get eaten by jaguars and ocelots and eagles, boa constrictors, crocodiles, cats and dogs, and even people. In some parts of South America, iguanas are called forest chicken. So people will hunt and eat these guys because sometimes it's the only meat that they have available. So iguanas are herbivores. They mostly eat leaves, fruit, and flowers. Are you gonna try and eat the banana leaf? He'll nibble on it a little bit. I'm gonna peel that off and see if he wants another piece.
Not really looking.
Thinking about it? Olive is a sun conure. They're a parrot from South America, and so she is very friendly. She loves people, and she can fly, so we're not gonna open up the cage while she's in here.
Did
But-
you hear it?
Oh, you guys see how she's grabbing some food out of her bowl? She got one of her pellets and she's gonna nibble on it with her foot to hold it.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I see that.
It's cute.
Yep. So we give her lots of toys to play with. She loves to chew on those wooden toys and shred them and break them apart. And if parrots get bored, it can be a real problem because they'll get loud and they'll start chewing on things they shouldn't, and they'll even start plucking their feathers out. So you always want to make sure that parrots are entertained, that they have things to do, and that they have lots of company.
Alright.
So Olive actually came to us because she was a family pet, but her family didn't have time to spend with her, and she was getting really lonely. So they wanted her to come to a place that would give her attention and time, and she would always have someone around. All right, so I'll give you guys a choice. Would you like to meet another lizard, or a snake?
Snake.
Snake?
Hunter, yes, Hunter really likes
Okay.
snakes, so.
Well, in that case, why don't you guys go ahead and have a seat at the picnic table,
Cool.
and I will be right back. All
Oh,
right.
I'm excited to meet
So
the
let's
snake.
go ahead and meet a snake first. All right, let's these guys.
Charlotte, do you want to meet a
Bottom of the
snake?
box.
Yes.
This is Chester. He is a jungle carpet python.
Wow.
So he is 8 years old, and he's our male carpet python. We have two, but our female is actually sitting on a nest of eggs right now. Pythons are the only snake that take care of their eggs after they lay them. So she is wrapped around her clutch of eggs, and she's actually keeping them warm and making sure they don't get too cold. Because just like bird eggs, reptile eggs need to be the right temperature to develop. They don't need to be too cold, they don't need to be too hot, and she will keep them just the right temperature. So carpet pythons are constrictors. They're not venomous, but they will grab their food when they find it, wrap their bodies around it, squeeze with their coils, and when it stops breathing, they'll swallow it whole. He is from Australia, so he is going to be eating lots of marsupials like sugar gliders and possums. They'll also eat bats and birds, and he loves rodents. Snakes use their tongue to smell, so they'll stick that tongue out, pick up scents floating in the air, bring them into their mouth and taste them, and he has a forked tongue with two ends, so he can tell what direction that smell is coming from. He's not going to get anything in that cup of vegetables. But he also doesn't eat people, so you don't need to be scared.
Lucas, you look a little bit unsure.
So Lucas, do you know the two reasons why a snake will bite something? Food and fear. So they are only going to bite something if they're trying to eat it, or if they're scared and it's attacking them. So he's not going to try to eat you guys. You're too big anyway.
Yeah.
He's also not going to try to bite you to defend himself because you're not attacking him. He feels totally safe. He's calm. He's just exploring right now. So he is not going to come after you guys. Snakes don't chase people. They don't attack people without reason. The only time a snake is going to bite a human is if it mistakes them for food, which usually happens with snakes in captivity, or if they are scared because that person is trying to catch or kill them. Would you guys like to pet him?
Sure. Yeah.
All right, let me...
What's his name again? Chess.
Chester. Chester the carpet python.
How old are they when they lay eggs?
Well, they need to be at least 4 years old to lay eggs, and our female catty is 4 years old, so this is her first time breeding, but she is being an excellent mother so far. She's
Is
wrapped
this a
around those
boy?
eggs. Yes, he is. He is a pretty big snake. He's about 6 feet long.
6 feet long.
He is about 6 feet long, maybe a little bit longer, maybe a little bit shorter.
That's Daddy. I would be 6 feet tall.
Yeah,
Well, you're actually 6'1".
so we're about the same.
Yeah, you guys are about the same length, but I think Chester's a little bit skinnier.
Yes.
I'll give you guys a choice. Do you want to meet something scaly or something fuzzy next?
Fuzzy.
Fuzzy it is. All right. This little girl is named Charlotte,
Oh.
and she is a very, very fuzzy tarantula. So Charlotte is an Arizona blonde tarantula. These
Hey, that's like
are
my-
spiders from the desert in Arizona. She is named after Charlotte's Web, the book. She is actually venomous. She's the only venomous animal we have at the Learning Zoo, but her venom is not dangerous to people. It's meant to kill things that are this big, you know, little bugs. And if she did bite me because she got scared or thought I was food, it would be about as bad as a bee sting. My hand would get a little bit swollen and itchy, but I wouldn't have to go to the hospital. So their venom isn't strong enough to hurt a predator, like a coyote or a fox or a bird. So when they're attacked by one, they'll actually turn their back on them and use these legs to kick fur off of their back end into that predator's face. So Charlotte is an invertebrate. Do you guys know what that means? An invertebrate is an animal that doesn't have a backbone or any bones at all. So do you guys have any questions about Charlotte?
No.
All right, we will put her up and get out something scaly. You might know what this is called. Any ideas? He is yellow and he's covered in dark spots. What kind of animal does that
Gecko.
remind you of?
Gecko.
He is a gecko. What kind of gecko? Leopard, that's right. So he is a leopard gecko. And leopard geckos are from India. He is a boy. His name is Zach. So if you look at his body, you can see he's covered in those little bumps.
Yeah.
Those and his spots help him camouflage. So he will hide in rocks or in burrows and he'll come out into a habitat that's got a lot of gravel and rock. He is 8 years old.
How long do they live for?
20 or 30 years.
Oh, wow, so that's a long time. That's
Yes.
not that old.
Leopard geckos are able to lose their tail if they're attacked by a predator. So if he's grabbed by a snake, a bird, a cat, a fox, that tail will break off and it will wiggle and thrash around on its own to distract that predator while he runs away.
Did they grow back?
It does grow back, and that actually happened. So this is what his original tail looks like. This is the regrown part right here. So are you guys ready to go inside and meet a few more reptiles?
Can't wait to see what's next.
We have some tortoises, we have some snakes, we have a few other animals inside that you can meet.
Alright.
Bring this with me because it's kind of hot out here.
So now we're going to see some more animals inside.
Yes, this is our reptile house. So we have a lot of lizards and snakes and tortoises.
Ooh.
Yeah, so Luna is a blue-tongued
She
skink
feels exactly.
from New Guinea, and she's been with us for about 1.5 years. She is one of our favorite ambassador lizards. She came to us full grown, so we don't really know how old she is, but she's very curious and inquisitive, and she has a great personality.
Did you see her blue tongue just come out?
Oh.
Yeah. I just saw it.
She'll flick that out every once in a while.
Yeah.
She's really good about showing it off. Yeah. So she eats dog food, she eats fruits and vegetables, she eats some bugs sometimes, and she loves hard-boiled egg. You guys remember Charlie, the bearded dragon from outside?
Yes.
Well, this is our other bearded dragon, and Valentina is a little bit smaller, but she's a lot brighter colored.
Okay.
So Valentina is about 2.5 years old, and she's full grown. She's not going to get any larger. But bearded dragons can live about 10 to 12 years, and once they get to be about this age, females will lay 20 to 40 eggs at a time. They'll dig a hole, they'll bury the eggs, and then they'll leave. They won't come back, even if the eggs are going to hatch.
Okay.
So when the babies are born, they climb up to the surface and they're completely on their own. Each one of them needs to go find a couple hundred bugs every day. So they need to spread out or they would not be able to find food.
Almost.
So Apollo is our really big reticulated python, and
Wow.
he is getting ready to shed his skin. So I'm not going to hold him for too long because he does not want to be disturbed much right now. But he is about 10 feet long.
Wow.
Let's see if I can.
He's like,
Get that
is he
last.
the biggest one you have?
He is the biggest snake that we have at the learning zoo. He is really okay. I guess just in front of you is coming up. So he is. His species is the longest snake in the world. Reticulated pythons hold the record. They can get 25 feet long. Girls are bigger than boys. He is 10 feet long. That is average for a male reticulated python. But females can get 15 to 20 feet. So they're twice the size of a boy. And that's because they lay really big eggs. Their eggs are about this big, and they'll have 40 or 50 of them at a time.
Wow.
So she needs a lot of space to carry those eggs around. He is a predator. In the wild, he would be eating things like birds, rodents, bats, monkeys, and big females would eat wild pigs, goats, deer, and they can swallow things that are 3 or 4 times bigger than their entire body is around. So Lilith is only a couple months old. She just hatched recently, and she's still growing. Tortoises grow really slowly. So she'll take a long time to get to be Zinnia's size.
Charlotte, look at the baby tortoise. Do you see the little baby?
This is Lilith. So Lilith likes to eat dandelions and greens and lettuce and squash, and she likes to eat grass too. That's what she would mostly eat in the wild, is grass and weeds and flowers.
And when did you say she hatched?
A few months ago.
Few months. So
Yeah,
she's like a few
2
months
or 3 months old.
Aw, so cute.
Yeah. So we have 3 baby red-footed tortoises in here, just like the ones you were eating outside. We have some greens in here. We have squash and strawberries and mushrooms. And they love all of those. I'm going to get a big handful with a good mix of everything. And then I'm going to take some calcium. I'm going to sprinkle it all over their food so that they get some while they're eating. And that calcium will help their bones and their shell grow quickly. Let's see if they are hungry. They almost always are. So I think they're going to just pick their favorite thing and start eating it first. There's Ruby. They have those red spots on their feet, and those do something really important. They help tell each other apart. So when these tortoises are in the wild, they live in groups, There will be a half dozen of them that share a burrow at night and live around each other. And when they see a tortoise, they'll look at their front legs and see if they can recognize the pattern of spots. Every one of them has a unique pattern. Those tortoises will look at their front legs and see if they recognize each other. This is Hope. She is actually just a year old. She was the size of a quarter when she hatched, so she's grown really quickly. And these turtles are a little bit different than our tortoises because they don't eat the same things. They eat fruit and they eat bugs. And if they find a dead animal, they're going to eat that meat too. So here is Squirtle. And Noah is somewhere in here, but we'll let him come out if he feels like it. They're a terrestrial turtle, so they live on land. And they go into shallow water to soak sometimes. You can see they've tracked some dirt into their water bowl, but they don't swim. We have tried to make their habitat look a lot like the woods. We have plants in here, so they have shade. The soil is nice and moist and deep, so they can burrow underground. And it's warm, but it's not too hot because they live in the forest underneath the trees. They don't have direct sunlight all the time like a bearded dragon in the desert might.
So friends, that concludes our tour of the Learning Zoo. We want to give Zookeeper Drew a big thank you because we had an awesome time and we learned lots of interesting facts about all of the animals here. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.